G'day, my name is Bill, these are the bots, welcome to the video. Today we're taking a look at the Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Sureshot. So if you're wondering who this guy is, let me explain. Sureshot here is one of the 3 Autobot Target Masters originally released back in 1987, with the other 2 being Point Blank and Crosshairs, which have also received modern generations updates. So, starting off, the paints and plastics on this guy well, they're nice, but not up to the standards of like Blast Off or Quick Strike. Hell, even Quintus Prime. But that's not to say it's bad, it's just not as dense and a little bit thin and hollow. But the colours on this guy are certainly something. They are bright, really bright, a literal brightest combination of colours. Orange, red and yellow, you could not get more bright if you tried. But it does serve as a reminder that this is based off a toy from 40 years ago that was most definitely targeted towards children. Like that is very apparent with this colour palette. Also, this is the 3rd figure I've gotten in the span of like a week that uses this colour scheme, with him blending really well with Age of the Primes Wreck-Gar and Thrilling 30 Sandstorm, who I also got this week. The sculpting on this figure is really good, with there being a lot of sculpted detail, which is a little weird for a G1 design, but it does help to fit in with the rest of the Autobot Target Masters. Speaking of which, here is Sureshot with his teammates, Point Blank from Legacy and Crosshairs from Siege. They look pretty good together, with Sureshot really standing out against the darker colours of the other 2. Also, with them doing a new Point Blank, can we please get a new Crosshairs, Hasbro? Because this isn't Crosshairs. It's just blue Ironhide. Anyway, that head sculpt is interesting to say the least, with those cool 80s shades, and the helmet that looks more helmet hair than anything metallic. And overall, it looks very crisp and clean in terms of paint, and I also appreciate the very simple design when compared to some of his wave mates, like Quintus Prime and Quick Strike. His articulation is a little strange. He has the standards like waist swivel, ankle pivots, and wrist... Oh. Wait. No wrist swivel? That is really disappointing for a guy whose whole thing is holding things. On that, for accessories, Sureshot comes with his Target Master partner, Spoilsport, who continues the tradition that started with Legacy Point Blank of the Target Masters and now Power Masters as it seems, being packed in with the figure, instead of being sold separately like in Siege. And as such, it is extremely simplistic in design, as to not take up too much of the figure's budget, with him only being 3 separate pieces, and 2 different colours of plastic. Although at least they painted the visor. Obviously he has no articulation, which is a bit disappointing. But hey, it's a freebie. Excuses can be made. Quickly comparing him to the other 2 Target Masters, Peacemaker, no not that one, you'll get me copyrighted, and Pinpointer from Siege. And well, you can certainly tell which one is better. But to be fair to the other 2, they came packed in with the deluxe class figures. So you get the Target Masters with the character, which is much preferred when compared to having to buy a Voyager class repaint of Megatron from a separate exclusive subline just to get this one Target Master. So whilst the Siege one is objectively better, at least the other 2 were easy to get your hands on. Spoilsport folds up in 2 simple steps into a cool little gun, which Sureshot can hold in his hand or plug onto his arm. Also included with this figure are these 2 bits, which are the spoiler in alt mode, which are supposed to go on the back of the shoulders, but can also be put on the legs for reasons. Also, side note, I just realized this while editing, but for most of the video I got the spoiler bits upside down. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, I think they look better this way anyway. For those comparisons, here is Sureshot with Age of the Primes Quintus Prime, Age of the Primes Smokescreen, and Retro Wheelie. So, a pretty decent robot mode. Let's get to that alt mode. Transformation on this figure is actually really fun, especially with the way the figure splits in half and folds back in on itself the other way. Brilliant! Although I will say, I keep forgetting how it goes and have to remind myself every time, which isn't a bad thing. In fact, it speaks to the testament of the figure that it's that intricate of a transformation. And what you're left with is, well, it very much is Sureshot's vehicle mode, which I think is supposed to be a futuristic Doom buggy. Regardless, it's very cool. The colours continue to be blindingly bright. He does have the world's most pathetic spoiler, and unfortunately the hands are just hanging out on the back of the vehicle, along with visible head syndrome. So the front wheels being smaller than the back ones puts the entire vehicle on an angle. It makes him look really souped up. The cockpit looks really good in this mode, with it contrasting the bright colours of the rest of the alt mode really well. You can plug the Target Master onto the hood of the alt mode, which looks a bit goofy as it blocks the cockpit, but it's accurate. And he does roll, as all rolling things should. For size comparisons, here is Sureshot with Age of the Primes Quintus Prime, Age of the Primes Smokescreen, and Retro Wheelie. Also, here he is with the rest of the Autobot Target Masters, which look pretty slick in vehicle mode if you ask me. I also find it really funny that I have managed to complete the Autobot trio of Target Masters, which have come out over 6 years, whereas I still haven't completed the Decepticon trio, which all came out in the span of 1 year. Hasbro, re-release Misfire, please! A third version of the Trigger Happy mold is not worth over $200. So overall, not too bad a figure, with the popping colours, retro head sculpt, and the awesome inclusion of the Target Master, but the limited articulation and the not so great plastic kinda pulls the figure down for me, earning him unfortunately a 6.5 out of 10. Yet somehow, he is still the most solid of all three Autobot Target Masters, but that's a discussion for another day. And despite all that, I am still really excited for Joyride later this year. So I've been Bill, these are the bots, and until next time, have a good one.